Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there. Hello. How you doing? I am mostly recovered from subjecting myself to that so-called town hall last night on CNN. Good God Almighty. Yesterday, I was sharing with you the thoughts of media luminaries like Ted Koppel and Bob Schieffer about how you have to cover somebody who's running for president. It's not for media to do to pick and choose who they're going to cover. But see, it became quite clear last night that Trump is in a class by himself. And the entire, I mean, again, as somebody who has a degree in journalism, there is an ethic that we are taught in this country when you study journalism, and it has to do with presenting a neutral, balanced view. Just the facts, only the facts. And to, as Fox used to say, let the audience decide, right? But just present the facts. But here's the problem. There's no way to tell both sides of a lie. And so if you have somebody like Donald Trump who literally lies with every breath he takes, every statement, I don't know how many statements, 98% of the statements that he made last night were lies. Now, there aren't two sides to a lie. And yet, that's what American journalists have been, how we've been taught to view our job is to present both sides. The disquieting reality is that our kind of journalism, the kind I was taught, is simply not equipped to deal with somebody like Donald Trump, with a pathological liar backed by a hooting crowd and mostly backed by an entire political party. So I don't know. I'm willing to bet CNN saw the highest ratings at 8 p.m. last night that it has seen in a long time. And what's the lesson they're going to take away from that? Since they're a business, the guys who own it, I'm being told my peas are popping. Am I okay? I've got it where it usually is. Hello? How is this? Well, keep letting me know and I'll do my best. I'm not sure where to put it. It's where it usually is. I watched it with my son. He was laughing. I mean, he was howling. He said, "This is the greatest See, and here's the problem. Here's the problem. It's a great show. It's a train wreck." I don't know at what point. You know, I don't know. I have to tell you, I am just I'm fearful. There's no way. There's a school of thought. You can see I've scattered my thought track. There's a school of thought that says, no. You know what? Let Trump show himself. Give him the stage. Yes, his base will eat it up. And the rest of the country will be reminded of what he is. There was no reaching out to independent voters that I could see in his remarks yesterday. So there is this possibility that by giving him a stage, that he actually harms himself, harms his chances. From the moment it began, I'm saying this for those of you who were wise and didn't watch, from the moment it began, I was stunned. Isn't that something? I was stunned. What was I expecting? I'll tell you what I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting that he'd be introduced. This man who was just convicted of sexual assault by a jury of Americans, ordered to pay $5 million, that he would walk out onto that stage and be greeted with a standing ovation. I was stunned because what I had not known was that the audience was packed for him. And before Lynn Cullen introduced him, she said that that CNN, they had not allowed any conditions to be set by Trump. Well, if Trump didn't say, "I only want to speak to people who support me," then how did CNN create an audience in which he would be cheered throughout? An audience that would laugh when he again joyfully defamed the woman he assaulted. They were laughing about what happened to E. Jean Carroll. The audience. And it only got worse and worse because he feeds off that kind of joyful, worshipful energy coming to his people. So the fact checkers, so the Washington Post today, for more than an hour, Donald Trump set forth a torrent of false claims during town hall. Here's a roundup of some of the more notable ones. And this thing goes on for pages And it's not a full list. As I said, every statement is a lie, practically. It wasn't 2 minutes into this fiasco that he said it was a rigged election. So we're off and running. Now, Lynn Cullen did what she had to do. She was placed in this position. She spent the entire hour and 10 minutes saying that is not true. That is not true. That is not what happened. That is no. That is not true. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. But you know what? After a while, that just became background noise because it doesn't stop him. He just keeps going. And of course, he's annoyed that she keeps interrupting him with "That's not true. That's not true. That's not true." And he says to her, "You're a nasty. You're nasty." And the crowd loved it. Here's this guy that was just found guilty of sexual abuse. Here he is defaming and abusing a woman in real time in front of an audience, and they whooped. They loved it. They agreed. I think what I find, there's so many reasons to be unsettled by this. It's seeing his voters. Because this audience, they didn't look like the sometimes true, T-shirt wearing, hat wearing lunatics you see at his rallies. So these people they looked like, respectable folks. Dressed well. Not a crazy looking person in the bunch. Suits and ties, dresses, they ate it up. Even, the likes of us, we see him, we hear him, we cannot imagine how anyone, knowing who he is, what he's done, what his presidency meant, we cannot imagine how anyone could vote for him again. Oh, man. There they were. Respectable, probably, lawyers, doctors, pharmacists, ministers, who knows? They will. I was trying to take notes, and after a while, see here on page 3, I said, head explodes. I gave up. I gave up. Some thoughts. I'm not even sure, where to go. Okay, wait a minute. I'm just going to fiddle with my bit here. I've been told it's a little better, but still not right. I've done what I can do, and I don't know how to do anything else. There was, some news made. He literally said, in regard to the debt limit, He said, he wants the Republicans to hold firm, default. He said, and he's a leader of that party. If Kevin McCarthy was listening, and you bet he was, he told Kevin McCarthy, default. The unthinkable, unleash a global economic cataclysm, the likes of which we haven't seen since the Great Depression. That's what he said. He would default. When Collins said, but when you were the president, you said that the debt ceiling should be approved unconditionally, and that it should never be used, as a blackmail tool, as leverage, I believe she said. And he responded, that's when I was president. So he didn't deny saying that. He said, yeah, that's when I was president. And she said, so why is it different now? And he said, because I'm not president. And the crowd went wild. He would not say he wanted Ukraine to win. He said something astonishing that, whether it was true or not, who knows, but she did not follow up. And believe me, I don't, I'm not disparaging the job she did. It was an impossible situation she was put in. And if you didn't like how she questioned him or what she did, do not place it at the fact that she used to work with Tucker Carlson or she is by nature conservative. She was acting as a very responsible journalist in terms of what responsible American journalism is about. She was filled with facts herself, trying to fact check in real time, and an impossibility when the lies are coming, out of a fire hose. But in regard to Ukraine, he said, he made the extraordinary boast of, if I become president, I will end this war in 24 hours. It'll be over. It'll be over. He repeated that a number of times. It's ridiculous. It's a lie. How would he end it? He'd give it to Vladimir Putin. I'm sure. But what he said is, he said, Putin, if I were president, Putin would have never invaded Ukraine. And he said, we used to talk about it. I nearly fell off my chair. I said, what? He said he and Vlad used to talk about it. That was not followed up, and even if it had been, a bunch of lies would have spewed out. It was unbelievable. Somebody wrote, he's capable of getting a crowd to laugh along with him about the woman a jury just determined he had sexually abused. And it is impossible to fact check him in real time. The fact that in their promotion of this horror, CNN called it a town hall, that suggests to me that representatives of the American populace, a town hall, would be there, that people would be able to ask questions directly of the president. And as I said before, that to me is one of the more egregious things that CNN did. Misrepresenting. Every single questioner had voted for him, except one who hadn't voted, a young person. Every single one. So you give him an audience of lackeys and worshipful fans, and you call that a town hall? I call that a rally. They gave him a prime time rally. He went absolutely berserk at the end. I don't know how long this was scheduled to go. I had the impression that they cut it short. Have you heard anybody suggest that? Because in the guide, that shows up on your TV, I wanted to see at some point how long my agony would continue. So I put the guide up to see, when is this thing going to be over? My son had said, I think it's just an hour. I said, no, I think it's more. And according to the guide, it was going to go till 9:30. But at 9:10, it was ended. And that was after he called her nasty, after the audience was getting, I think, a little out of control. The lies were coming at even a greater speed. And I just have a feeling that someone got in her ear and said, just let's end this. Now, I might be totally wrong, but that was my impression last night. But I mean, this was a disaster. If this was what Keith Olbermann suggested it was, even before it happened, that this was a grab for Fox's disaffected audience, angry about Tucker Carlson being booted, that CNN is going to pick up some viewers after this. Steal them from Fox. And if this is what the new ownership of CNN has in mind, they're going to lose a ton of their regular viewers. I don't know. I don't know how it shakes out, but man, was that ugly. Little Tony says, I can hear everything you're saying, but there's a lot of noise that I don't usually hear. Well, there's no noise here in my... I'm not sure how you could... Wait, Kevin, is it still sounding weird? I don't know what to do. I've done everything I have the power to do here. I plugged and unplugged. Plugged and unplugged. Well, I don't know why. I am not moving. My producer is saying it sounds like you're moving around. I am so stock still here in a chair. I haven't moved a bit. So I'm sorry, guys. Tony says, I'm not sure how I'm not sure how you could stomach watching that last night, but I understand why you would. CNN is doing the same thing they did last time. They're despicable to give him free airtime. People need to turn it off. Turn CNN off. You know, I feel for the journalists there and people affiliated with CNN. And after the debacle, they went out to, of course, they go to their talking heads and why am I blanking on his name? Well, there was Jake Tapper, but that's not who I'm thinking about. Anderson Cooper, Jake Tapper, those guys, they looked sick to their stomachs. So you can bet CNN today is one unhappy place. Maybe not in the, maybe not at the top, the top administrative section where they're counting the money, but certainly among people who realize the damage that was done last night. Roger writes, yesterday I told you I wasn't going to watch, but when my wife and I sat down to watch Survivor, God, did you ever think of reading a book? It's a choice between Survivor and Donald Trump. Anyway, his wife said, you have to watch. So I immediately put on my headphones and watched another program on my phone. I did hear him say something about successfully having put up hundreds of, that's right. He said he built the wall. She said, well, you never built the wall. I built the wall. Now, we know, I put up hundreds, and he just lies. He lies. Well, we know this, but we haven't seen him in action in a long time. He says things that are so knowingly. She talked about the phone call to Georgia, asking to find him some votes. The phone call that could send him to jail. And she said, you asked them to find votes. And he said, I didn't ask them to find votes. We all heard him ask. How does somebody become so pathologically incapable of, I guess, again, more frightening, though, is the people in the audience. They know he said it. They know he's lying. And they still are smitten. They love it. They think he's funny. It's a great show. Back to Roger, he said, so I turned up my headphone volume to the max. And a few seconds later, my wife turned on Survivor. She couldn't take it. And he said, you get more out of watching professional wrestling. Well, my son is a professional wrestling fan. He just thinks it's a riot. Lost on me, but that's one of the reasons he was loving it so much, because he knows Donald Trump has based this persona on, he's pals with Vince McMahon, and he thinks in this exact same terms of how you create a character and how you keep a crowd whooping it up. Yeah. Oh. He said, I think this is the one where my son fell off the couch, talking about E. Jean Carroll and how unfair the judge was. How you can't get a fair trial in New York or Washington, D.C. How, therefore, he was going to pardon all those fine people who almost all. He said maybe I'd have to look at a few, but those were fine people. He said they were there that day with love in their hearts. He said it was a beautiful day. He blamed it all on Nancy Pelosi. Crazy Nancy Pelosi. He lied about having offered troops beforehand. He lied about how long it took him to respond to the violence. He lied and lied and lied. When asked if he owed Mike Pence an apology, he said no. And then back to E. Jean Carroll, he said that the judge wouldn't allow them to put in pertinent information. Like the fact was, her cat was named Vagina. Yeah. Her cat was named Vagina. Now, this is interesting. I'm just reporting this back that some of our listeners are saying they aren't getting these sounds. That the mic sounds mildly more sensitive than usual, but only slightly. Nothing major, just saying. Aaron writes, I'm listening to you on YouTube and the sound is just fine. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Something's obviously not quite right somewhere, but I don't know. And I was looking on, God help us, social media, and man, Caitlin Collins she is on the receiving end of so much vile vitriol from our side. And if you think our side isn't capable of being just over the top despicable, I just want to say, I have seen video of her appearing on Fox News. I have, before she went to CNN, and being a dutiful Fox News, he did a piece on Soros, saying, that he was trying to change the United States. I just want to say, I only know her from her work as White House correspondent for CNN during Trump's presidency. I thought she did a very good job. She was never afraid to take him on. He denied her entrance into some things. I mean, he never, because she was tough. She's clearly extremely bright. And I don't know, this tendency we have to dig up stuff that people have said. If you think of all the stuff that's out there that I've said, oh my God. I mean, it's literally thousands and thousands of hours of me babbling about everything. And what you could come up with. Horrible things, I'm sure. Especially now that we're more woke. I mean, I said stuff that would be considered, I'd be called a homophobe. I'd be called, sexist. I'd be called a racist. None of us are capable of withstanding the scrutiny of the internet mob. And I will tell you, she did as good a job as anyone could have done last night. The only thing I could think that she could have done is literally, instead of continuing to say, that is not correct, Mr. President, that is not right, that is not correct, she could have just said, that's a lie. Use the word. She could have said, that is a lie. That is a lie. That is a lie. But you know what? He was in a room full of people who would have ripped her apart limb from limb. Because he always has that menace going for him. And fine. I've read what's going on out there about her. I am going to come to her aid because I only have the body of work she has done in the last 10 years, 8 years, I don't know, in which to judge her. And that is how I'm going to judge her. Not what job she had as she made her way into this tough business. She's very capable, cool, calm. I mean, I don't know what else she could have done. What could she have done? See Milton saying, are you kidding me? Come on. I'm serious about this. What could she have done? It was a setup. It was a setup with the audience. I don't know what to say. But I said yesterday, man, I can imagine how nervous she would be going into this thing. If she was, she didn't appear to be at all. I just don't know what we're going to do, though, now. I don't know how you cover a presidential election with this pathological, lying, autocrat, fascist, racist, misogynist. How do you... I don't know. She didn't have to keep calling him Mr. President, I'll tell you that. That honorific, we do that. That is bullshit. He's not the president. That's an honorific that my sense is that I'm sure if after George Washington had gone back to his private life, eschewing what he could have done, which is become a monarch, I'm sure he would have corrected somebody who called him Mr. President. It is not an honorific you should have for life. But that's the way we do things. Unbelievable. Oh, I got to get to this. So the election is Tuesday, local election, the primary election. And I don't know what, there's two really, to me, consequential races, and that's DA and county exec. And I really think we have an opportunity to shake up the old boy network big time. And I am going to suggest, and you can see they're scared, the guys, that Sarah Inamarato is the person to vote for. And a young woman, hardworking, impressive, no scandal surrounding her. open to doing things in a different way, bringing the energy of youth and the sort of just grassroots network. Every time she's run, she's surprised people. And I think she might do it again. And then there's Zappala. And the best opportunity I have seen since I've been here to knock him out. Weinstein would be just make me, I mean, I can't even think about it. And another term for Zappala, unbelievable. Okay, so those are the two biggies. I would argue that you're going to vote for a justice of the Supreme Court. Debbie Kunzelman, there's two, a guy from Philly and Debbie Kunzelman from these parts. I would definitely vote for her. Nothing particularly wrong with him, but I would vote for Kunzelman. And as far as I can see, in all the people who I respect, who are politically more attuned locally, they're all saying Kunzelman. Also, judges of Superior Court, you want the two women. Jill Beck, she is from Allegheny County. And then from Philadelphia County, Tamika Lane. You can vote for two, no more than two, or you could just vote for one. Everybody, I haven't seen anybody suggest anything other than Brian Neff for judge of the Commonwealth Court. He also from Allegheny County, running against someone from Philadelphia. And then the other judge is judge of the Court of Common Pleas. And there's three men in that race: Patrick Sweeney, Adam Zeffi, and Anthony DeLuca. And everything I see says Sweeney, Sweeney, Sweeney. County Treasurer Erica Brucelars. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Erica, her signs say. Obviously, DA Matt Dugan. County Controller is up to you. We got Corey O'Connor and an activist, young activist named Darwin Luba, who's done a lot of. He's somebody to keep an eye on. And you want to shake up the controller's race, you could vote for him. Corey O'Connor's fine and has gotten most of the endorsements that I have seen. And then county council at large, and this is big, has to be Bethany Hallam, because this Joanna Dobbin, or whatever her name is, who Fitzgerald is pushing, I don't even think she's like a Trumper. She's no Democrat. Bethany Hallam. And I don't know what else to tell you. Pittsburgh Controller, Tracy Royston. And then when it comes to the school districts, you all have your own things. I don't know. So that's just saw my ballot. Beth writes, Caitlin Collins did the best she could. I am sure when Donald was told Caitlin to be the moderator of the town hall, he thought it was Caitlin Jenner. I kept saying when Biden got into office that he needed to bring in the top cult deprogrammers to advise him how to deal with those true Trump believers. And seeing that crowd last night, they scared me more than Trump. Exactly. That was my sense, too. It wasn't Trump that scared me. It was them. That's like looking at a bunch of, it's like, again, it makes me think of like Germany before the Holocaust. It's like, it wasn't Hitler, it was the adoring, good German people who sort of closed their eyes and ears and went along, enjoyed that he made them feel powerful and good. I don't know. It's those people, because we could keep Trump out, but they live here. They're our neighbors. Might be your doctor, your lawyer, your accountant, kid's teacher, also the cops, firefighters. Oh, dear God. Rob is wondering, Collins is 31 years old. Is she just 31? No. Are you kidding me? Oh. I wonder how the other much more qualified people on CNN think of her. She climbed over all of them. Well, now that makes her look like a grasping. If she is getting ahead, she's getting ahead by virtue of her on-air work, which is, as I said, as a viewer and as somebody who knows how hard it is, she is impressive. Never an and an speaks in full sentences, coherent, smart as a whip, has tons of information in her head, not easily frightened. Rob goes on to say Trump ate her alive and soiled her white outfit. He would have eaten anybody alive. Name me anybody. I don't, male, female, anything. Given the setup, other than just like screaming, as I said, you're lying, you can't, there was nothing anyone could have done. Rob writes, by the way, she's taking over that Don Lemon's 9 o'clock hour. Yeah, I see that. I think she'll be good. We'll see. You think everybody's thinking what? That she's going to what? Be Tucker Carlson? Now, she's never had, since I've seen her, she's been a reporter. If she's taking over a 9 o'clock, more entertainment-oriented hour, then she is going to have to show her politics. See? But I think Rob is right. She is CNN's new golden girl. She is rising fast. All right, Milton's back explaining why he said, come on. Saying Caitlin Collins did a good job is like saying that a pilot that is tasked by his airline to crash the plane he's flying into the side of a mountain did a good job when there are no survivors found at the crash site. Okay. Take your metaphor. Sure. She carried out his assignment. No. Sure. Oh, we're back to the pilot. He's a he. Sure, he carried out his assignment dutifully without complaint, but would a real pilot have accepted the assignment? What? Let me tell you, first, one thing, you don't get to say no. If the network, if the people you work for says, and this would be considered, this is what you're doing, you do it. You don't get to say no. I mean, she could have resigned. But do you think if they'd given it to Jake Tapper or Anderson Cooper or any of the others that they would have said no? Okay. Milton again. You've been saying all morning that it's the job of a journalist to fact check her subject, but you've also said that fact checking this guy in real time is impossible. That is correct. So if it's impossible for a journalist to carry out a duty essential to their job, wouldn't a real journalist with integrity simply pass on hosting a big town hall? Hey, yeah, except we're talking about people. It would be an exceptional person. Whoa, let's say someone got offered that, here's the gig, and you're going to do it. Prime time, Donald Trump, town hall. And Lynn Cullen, whoever, just said, I refuse. Well, they're out of a job, one. That would be pretty, I mean, it would be, yes, a profile in courage. But make no mistake, the people who have risen to that level of television are very ambitious people with huge egos. And that doesn't mean they can't be good journalists, but I think you're asking too much. I mean, I think you're being unrealistic. I agree. Wow, it would have been something if she said, I refuse. I know I'm the rising star. I know you're about to give me a primetime job, but I won't do it. Wow. That would have been something. Milton goes on, I agree with you that she did as well as she could have under the circumstances, but I argue that a real professional would never have risked their journalistic bona fides, or is it bona fides, by hosting an event that was designed to prevent her from doing her job well. Okay. But wow, I think you're not dealing in the real world there. Yeah, okay. Okay. I mean, she can't be happy. I mean, she kept her cool, but my God. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I feel for her. And Trump, I didn't even get to his. Biden has 1,000 boxes in Chinatown. He says Chinatown. They don't even speak English. Why aren't they raiding the Chinatown? And this was a mashup of so many lies and facts picked from here and put over there that, you know, you can't. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Fox is being sued again, another defamation suit. These are people who saw what Dominion did, and they're saying, "I'm going for it." This is a woman, a young woman, Nina Jankowicz. She's the former executive director of something called the Disinformation Governance Board. That was set up by the Department of Homeland Security at one point to try to understand how Russians, others were doing, you know, to keep tabs on the disinformation campaigns that were infecting our national discourse and elections. It was later dissolved. It was just there for a little while. But apparently Fox News and other right-wing outlets decided she was evil And they went after her for months and months. Her thing is she is a specialist in Russian disinformation and online harassment. And yet she became on the receiving end of such online harassment that she left the job for her own safety and for her own, just ability to sleep at night. So in 8 months last year, Fox mentioned her over 300 times, demeaning her, defaming her repeatedly in highly personal language. Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Bartiromo, all of them. They said her job was to silence anyone who criticizes the Biden administration. And Carlson warned she was there to get men with guns to tell you to shut up. She, as I said, she's 34 years old. And she's asking to do what Dominion, to get all the internal mentions of her, and to see if she'll need those to prove, that's a very high bar again, to prove that they knowingly defamed her, that they knew what they were saying was untrue. Chances are she's going to have a tougher job of it, but Fox, I can't imagine what their legal bills are a year. She was called a lunatic. She was called Janko Half-Witch. She was called the Wicked Witch. She said the harassment was just a litany of misogyny, anti-Semitism, violent messages. The impact on her family, huge. 34 years old. In Trump's America. Well, not surprised to see that the Law and Order Party is standing firm behind Santos. Jesus, God in heaven. And did you see that one of the congressional inquiries into crimes committed by the Bidens has been going on for 4 months now in the House? This is the one headed by Representative James Comer. They actually had the gall to yesterday hold a news conference, to share with us their preliminary findings. And here's what they found. Nothing. They had to concede that they had yet to find evidence of a specific corrupt action that President Biden took in office in connection with any business dealings, including business dealings involving his son, which is what they keep saying. It's what they're investigating. They're going to show. They'd had 4 months, God knows how much money at their disposal to look into all of it. They came up with nothing, and it hasn't stopped them. They're going to continue. If they're so concerned about presidents and their offspring using the offices for personal gain, then one wonders why they wouldn't be looking into Jared Kushner or his lovely wife. Kushner has received, and it's known, hundreds of millions of dollars from nations in the Persian Gulf. It is known that Hunter Biden also did try to cash in. And there's been a lot of investigations into, if anything, but the fact of it is federal prosecutors have been also looking at his international business dealings. And any charges that are being considered have absolutely nothing to do with anything he did overseas. The charges, if he does face charges, are going to be things like tax evasion. He didn't file a form, I think, for years. And yes, he did take money from lowlifes in Romania. But apparently, it's not illegal what he did. So with a straight face, that hard-working committee paid with your dollars has, after 4 months, according to the headline here, 4-month GOP inquiry finds no evidence of wrongdoing by the president. God. All right, that's it, guys. I'm done. I'm done. And as I always say on Thursday at this time, God knows what's going to be happening time between now and Monday at 10 a.m. when I next talk to you. God knows what horrors await us. Okay, one last thing from Milton. And I mean, I don't like arguing with Milton because he, in the end, will beat me. If WTIE would have asked you to do a puff piece on the local KKK chapter, I've no doubt that your tenure there would have ended that afternoon. That is true. Maybe your journalistic integrity has me spoiled, but I don't think that you'd have decided to host that town hall. I don't know. First of all, I never would have been asked to do a puff piece on the KKK. Never. But, okay. Let's let it rest. Let's let it rest. Oh, God. That's it, guys. I'm done. Goodbye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.